Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is 2024, January. Mr. Conejo, sir, how have you been?
I've been good. I've been laying low a little bit, you know, trying to regroup. You know what I mean? Enjoying the holidays, Christmas and New Year's, starting off the year off good.
It's great to hear that, man. It's great to hear that, man. As always.
Okay, thank you, Tony. Yeah, this is me, Conejo, coming back at you. I know I was off a little bit, off the air a little bit, but I'm coming at you. I'm gonna tell you guys a story. It really touches my heart because I know this person personally. Her name is Carmen, and that she was married to one of the carnales from the Mexican mafia. His name was Huero. We used to call him Huero Verde, and she was the secretary of that did a lot of work for Huero, and the reason I'm telling you this story because it touches my heart that she got killed in the process of all this power struggle that happened with Huero. Carnal Huero was doing real good. When they had the step down program from the Bay and all the carnales were getting kicked out of the Bay little by little, well, Huero at that time was making his move. At that time, before he got pulled out from Pelican Bay, he was already pushing his move in Red Lynn, Verdugo. His hand, as we say, his black hand was reaching out there far. And a lot of the youngsters took a liking to him because of the way he was. His little style, you know what I mean? The way he was, like sometimes, you know, the way they talk now, the youngsters, what's up, my boy, what's up, you know what I mean? And he had that little style in communicating. And what really put him on top was once he got kicked out to Pelican Bay Mainline, well, you know and I know he has more access to now telephones, cell phones, and that's when he made his move really. And he took over all Verdugo, Redlands, all San Bernardino County. And at that time, you got to understand, Cricket from Hazard, Carnot Cricket, is at that time fighting his case with John Stenson and all them dudes over there in West Valley. But you got to remember, Carnot Cricket is from Hazard. He's not he's not from San Bernardino County, but because he was running around in that area, that's where he got indicted at. And he picked up his case right there. He and Mike Boo and all them. He got caught up in that big old indictment. So when he got caught up, that's when they made it. He said, "He's bust. I'm gonna make my move." And since he's from that area, he just got kicked out the shoot too. That's what he did. Well, Cricket started crying to old man Chato from Maravilla and old man Tablas, Carnal Tablas. Well, they're from the original Blue Notes, and you got to understand that Carnal Cricket is a Carnal from the Feds. He's a Carnal from the Feds, and then you got to remember Cricket's half white, half Mexican. His last name is Jackson, you know what I mean? But Wells using this against him, telling other brothers, look, this vato's from the feds, carnal. You know we don't really look eye to eye to the carnales and the feds and all that, but the ones that really look eye to the carnales and the feds is the original OGs, the originals that started the M back in YA and Tracy. Because they go by the original rules. They don't care about you're from the feds, we're from the state, you know, all that. Well, anyways, at that time, Huero had Ruben Asad working for him as his main one of his main dudes. He had Isaac, you know, one of his little hitters. You know what I mean? He had little Chino from Redlands. You know what I mean? He had little Crook. You know what I mean? Little Rich Easy working with him. All these are Sureños, but they're dudes that can get made at any time because they put work in. But all these dudes were working for at one time for Karnak Cricket from Hazard. when he was in West Valley. West Valley, you understand, West Valley is the county jail. People don't, when I'm telling my story, West Valley is the county jail. When I say West Valley, that's the county jail. Well, any carnales in the county jail, it's very accessible for him to get his word out through sureños, phone calls, nothing, all that, because there's always a constant flow of people turning themselves into the county and getting out with messages. So at that time, Huero makes his move, and all these dudes are crying to Huero, telling him, look, we used to work with this carnal, but he's from L.A. We want to work with you. So he told him, every organization, every clica that was working with Cricket now is an alliance with me and the inmate. I got the original okay from Old Man Chato, from Maravilla. So all you, and all this was, he was just swinging names around, because a lot of sureños do not got direct contact with certain brothers, and he knows how to manipulate his words. Huero's good and so he was swinging names around. So of course nobody's going to stand up to him and say, "Nah, I'm going to check on that what you're saying," because he knows that any sureño that checks on any kind of background in anybody, a carnal, and it turns out to be true, the next step is he's going to get killed. He's going to get chopped up. So
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That's why a lot of Sureños don't go against the word of a carnal. Well, anyways, going back to the story, in 2016, once Huero was hitting hard, you remember he was hitting hard, 14, 15, 16, hitting hard. I'm talking about taking over every clica in San Bernardino County. And you got to remember, every clica on the street, they got to pay what's called a 10% tax. Some of them got what's called half a tax. What half a tax means is whatever they're making monthly or weekly, they got to pay half of whatever they make, or whatever drugs they got to give up half if they don't pay it. So that's just a protection to protect their clica in the streets, to do whatever they can to have the protection of the M, the black hand behind them, to so they won't get taxed. So at that time, you gotta understand, Carmen is collecting all this money for Huero, and Carmen has a stingy hand because she likes to get well dressed, driving good cars, and the power started going to her head where she's like telling guys out in the street, "Hey, Huero's told me to tell you guys do this," and they're doing it for her. And anybody that says, "Hey, I'm going to check on that. I'm working for so-and-so carnal over here from this area," and she'll say, "What's your name? I'm gonna tell Huero about you." And all of a sudden they get scared and they don't want to go against her. And she was actually putting hits on dudes that were going against her without Huero's approval or anybody else's approval. And she's a female, just a secretary. So, like 6 good camaradas got hit, almost killed, over her mouth and her little scandalous ways. But 2016, when they put Huero on disregard, guess who came to the plate with all power that he could? Cricket from Hazard. He came and started pushing, and he used Tortuga, because him and Tortuga now are getting close, talking. I guess he smuggled a cell phone over in West Valley, and he's calling Tortuga over there in Centinela prison, and telling him all this. Look, man, I had all this, and he was, even though he was from LA, when he was pushing and controlling all the little barrios in San Bernardino County, he always made sure to look out for Tortuga and Old Man Chato and Tablas and Old Man Carlos Diaz over there in Centinela, because Tortuga is the one who told him, "Look, the old man's right here with us. As long as we take care, he's got our back." So he was making sure he was doing it. But when Huero pushed up and he started pushing, well, he had to step aside, because that's the rules. When you get busted and the next carnal is going to take over the neighborhood, you got to step aside. As long as you get a little cut, you got to respect that. But when they put him on disregard in 2016, that's when he made his push to take him out completely, because he started using everything he can against Huero, the things that Carmen was doing out there in the street, You gotta understand, when a carnal that is incarcerated from the Mexican mafia, and 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 and, and he's got somebody in the street like a female doing his work, that's like him talking to.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
That you gotta understand. That's word for mouth. Like that's like telling them what I say goes. What she says goes. So she was using that to sometimes manipulate and have guys that she didn't like to get almost killed. You know what I mean? So when she did that, Cricket used that against him. So what they did, they put him on disregard in 2016, and come 2017, well, they already had a plan to take her out. And Huero didn't know this. The one that was doing all this was Ruben Massano. Ruben Massano was in Pelican Bay, and he's over there with the cell phone, calling and telling the little homies, little crook Aguirre, and Easy and all them. Look, Crook has got to be the shooter. See, Crook actually fell out of grace with the airman because he did something wrong, and they had him on what we call it on the Shanyada. On the Shanyada means that you're right now in bad grounds with la M. So he wanted to clean it up. He came to Ruben because he's talking. That's his older homies. So he's talking to him in the cell phone in the streets to Pelican Bay State Prison. You got to remember, this whole killing happened just through phone. The whole conversation was through phone conversations, and he's telling him what's going on, and he's telling Ruben Massano, hey, you know what? I want to get back good with the anime, this and this. And he says, look, man, this job came up. If you handle it and take care of it, your name is going to get put out of the bad news list. He wasn't in the end where they were going to hit him, but he was in disregard. I'm talking about little crook, Aguirre. Well, and he said, yeah, I'll do whatever. And he told him, well, they're going to take, well, they didn't tell him at that time yet what was going to happen. They just told him, we need you to take care of business. Once they told him it's to kill Carmen, he thought about it, and he was really thinking about it. He was having a second thoughts of doing the job. But when they told him, look, if you handle this, Tortuga, Cricket, Chato, and all them said they'll raise their hand for you to get made as a Mexican Mafia member. Well, you got to remember, everybody's goal that's in this whole game with the MS Sureños, the Pinta and everything, their whole strategy is to get made one day in the MS and in the Mexican Mafia so they can be up there and be part of the Black Hand. Because once you're part of the elite Black Hand,
you have 60 seconds remaining.
There's no limit in what you can't do or what you can do. Tony's going to hang up. I got to call you back. Okay, like I was telling you, going back to Carmen, well, they killed her. I think it was January 18, 2017, somewhere around there. I'm not sure it was 18, 19, somewhere around there. Well, anyways, when they set up the whole get down to kill her, because I hate to say it, she was collecting taxes from like 20 different cliques from the San Bernardino area and Redlands area. She's pulling in anywhere from $20,000 to $50,000 a week in just collecting of rents. That's how much she was pulling in for Huero. But she's actually taking anywhere like 10 to 15,000, pocketing it. And Huero's telling her, keep this for me and you. And Huero's reporting in to other carnales up there in the Bay that he's sharing with them. He's sharing with them the other half. But he's telling them, this is what I'm receiving. which was all bogus.
It's great to hear.
Well,
Man. It's great
you
to hear
know
that, man. As always, man, we
that
are
somebody's
very,
always going to
happy,
check
man,
on
to
what
have you
you're
around,
pulling
man.
in.
And as
That's in
always, man,
any
it's
organization.
great to hear your stories, man. So
Well,
I'm not going to take up
at
much
that
too much of your
time,
time. We'll go ahead and
they already put
let
Huero
you
on
take over and do
disregard. You
what
got to
do
remember,
best, man. And
Huero got put
the
in
platform is yours,
disregard
bro. Go ahead
in
and shine
2016.
bright.
He got put in disregard. And that whole move of putting him in disregard was part of the whole strategy. Well, the enemy, when anytime they're going to use somebody to kill somebody and they're going to go through using phones and all that, they're not going to actually do the conversation. They're going to have a sureño to do it. So that way, if something happens, they get caught, it's going to pin him. It's going to go to him. It ain't going to go to none of the MM members because they're not on the phone. But before I go any further,
this call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
Before I go on, I want to... Okay, back to the story. Now, you got to remember that Ruben Massano was on the phone talking to Crook all this time. If they tell Carmen and tell her go to this cafe and wait for like they were going to call you. This is in January 2018, 2017 on the 18th, and they tell her go to this cafe. We're going to call you right there. We got some rent money, some tax money. We're going to pay you. So she goes over to the daughter, thinking her daughter's 14 years old. She's in the passenger side. She's thinking everything's like every normal day, just going to go pick up money and go back home. Well, she goes over to the cafe, and little Crook gets off the car, and she calls her over to the car. So she gets off the car, and as soon as she gets off the car, Crook runs up to her and bam, 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 hits her like 4 times. Her daughter's inside the car looking outside the passenger window when she sees her mom fall. She couldn't believe it. So she was scared, so she don't want to get out the car because all of a sudden like 5, 6 guys now pop up. Car pulls up, little Crook gets in the car and they take off. So the daughter actually identifies little Crook later on in a lineup. Once they caught, because you gotta understand, when something like this happens, 9 times out of 10, there's probably FBI agents or other agents or the SSU already following them, seeing the things they're doing, and they probably had pictures of everybody collecting money and all that, because that's the way the indictments are created. They follow people around for a while. So I'm pretty sure that they had Carmen already collecting money for Huero and all that. They had little Crook. They had little Chino from Redlands. They had a little Easy from Verdugo. All of them. They had all of them in there. Well, the whole conversation, because Ruben is in Pelican Bay State Prison, so he's the aider and abater, because he's actually the one who's giving orders through the cell phones. You got to remember, the people who set this whole thing up is right there in Pelican Bay, and they're in the same yard with Huero. Not Huero from the inmate, but Huero's in disregard. But he doesn't know yet that they're going to kill him too. As soon as they killed his wife, they kill Huero. They give him a hot shot and kill him. After that, they were thinking, how can we kill him? Nowadays, in prison, they're not killing you like you think back in the days where they're stabbing you and trying to cut you up and leave a message. No, now what they're doing in prison, because it's the easiest way. They know most sureños and most carnales from the M are heroin addicts. So what they do is they give them a hot shot. They don't, not like a hot shot like it's gonna poison them. They just give them a big shot of fentanyl. They tell them it's heroin, and they really pack a lot of fentanyl in it. And they line, and they nod, and they OD, and they die. That's what happened to Huero. They killed him like that. The administration thought, well, he OD'd. Okay, no, they killed him. They actually killed him and set it up to kill him like that and get him out the way, and that's what happened. And all this was behind Mexican mafia collecting rent, and they used manipulation, saying that Carmen was taking too much money. She was taking a lot of money, but it ain't too much because everybody does it. every secretary that works for the Mexican mafia takes an issue of money all the time. It ain't no different than when other people do it, but because old man Chato from Maravilla and old man Tablas and Cricket and Carnal Turtle from Colton, they wanted to take over because you got to remember San Bernardino is one of the biggest counties in California, and there's a lot of little cliques, a lot of little Sureño cliques, and just imagine every clique slinging dope out there, and you giving just I'm just giving you a hypothetical situation. Every clique is selling 30 clicks, and they're each collecting $10,000 a week, and you're going to get $5,000 off that. So add that up. That's how much money's coming in there. It's way more than that. I'm just giving you an example. But I'm not trying to highlight this whole situation. I'm trying to open your eyes that it's not worth it, because you come in here and, like, I'll give you an example, like Ruben.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And he set up this whole thing for the Mexican mafia, and he's one of them that turned in the case. And now he has to live his life with one eye open, one eye closed, or not. Anytime they can take his life. Is that worth it? No. Open your eyes. This life is a cold-hearted, blooded life. So I'm telling you, all you kids out there, all you little girls, or all you so-called gangsters out there that are hearing this story, open your eyes, because I'm sharing this story with you so you will change your ways to not come into prison. And if you are in prison hearing this, then change your ways to try and make it out one day, because that change your life for the better. Because I'm doing that, and this life ain't worth it. Because, like we say, us carnales in the M, once you're all in, you're all in. There ain't no coming back. So unless you make a drastic move and like me and find the Lord, then you got a new pathway you can walk. But if not, then keep pushing forward until your day comes. Until God calls you up and your day comes and you go to either heaven or hell. Most of us are going to go to hell because of the things we did. Because I'm not going to lie, I don't got a pretty path, but I'm telling you right now, it's a life that's not worth it. And all you look at, in this case, there was over, I think like 8 co-defendants. And out of all of them, only 2 of them stayed together. And the carnales that set this whole thing up are in the background, never were on the phone, never talked to nobody. Yes, their names mentioned in the case. Yes, they got evidence that they were involved, but it's not enough evidence to convict them in a crime that can give them more time. And a lot of times, you know why they don't even take them to court? It's because they know if they bring a carnal from the M down to court, you know what that does? That's like a vacation to him, because he knows coming down to the county jail is like coming to paradise, where he can have everything. I mean, you people don't see it that way, but we do, because we know coming to the county jail is like coming to paradise, because you're going to have drugs, you're going to have everything. You can even almost pay your way to have a woman, let you have a couple hours with a woman in one of them closets or something, because it's happened before. So you're going to have more money than what you can get, than what you can hold in your hands, because that's the number one thing. Every carnal comes to the county jail, he comes back with his books stacked, or he comes back with at least $20,000 to $50,000 that he made just in the times he was in the county jail, and he's getting high every day. And that's every carnal wants that, and that's one of the reasons the administration doesn't even want to bring you guys back. Want to bring us back to court. Doesn't even want to charge us, because they know that. Most of the time when they bring a carnal from the M back to court, they stay in either Lancaster, they stay in Donovan, they stay in the closest prison to that county where you're going to court. But a lot of times they don't want to bring you down to court because they know that you in the county, all you're going to do is be giving out orders to kill people, collect money, and establish your black hand more stronger. And and they already know that alone creates more wars and power struggles within the inmate themselves, like this right here. This whole situation I'm just telling you about Cricket from Hazard and Carnal Huero, because that's what it was. Cricket was at that time in the streets. He got out from the feds and he was living in San Bernardino area. And when he got busted, he was in West Valley and he lost his power. So Huero made his move to take over that whole area. And that's why the SSU, the FBI.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Don't bring him back down to court, because that's going to create a whole new power struggle within the inmate itself, and they don't want that. So open your eyes and change your life for the better. This is Conejo getting